The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise, sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process. Welcome to the television show devoted to local business, Buffalo on the Rise, with your host, Joe Chille. There's an entrepreneurial spirit in Western New York that's putting our area on the cusp of greatness. Each week, Buffalo on the Rise features local business leaders and decision makers who are shaping our future. If it's about local business, we'll talk about it right here, right now, during Buffalo on the Rise.
I'm Joe Chille. On this edition of The Big Whack presents Buffalo on the Rise. How is your vision? Get the latest on procedures and cutting-edge technology from Fitche, Endl Elmer Eyecare. How can you make the most from your money? Find out from the experts at SC Parker. And is your home, basement, or garage cluttered with stuff? Let Junkluggers take care of it all. All of that coming up on this edition of Buffalo on the Rise. Welcome to Buffalo on the Rise. I'm your host, Joe Chille. With us is Kevin O'Brien. I have to make sure that I get this right. Refractive Surgery Director, right?
It's a title I gave myself because it sounds important. I've been here 34 years. I change my title every once in a while. This is the one I came up with for the last couple of years.
Well, Kevin is with Fitche, Endl Elmer Eyecare, and do they give you that hat for free? I just want you to know.
We had these made for promotional, but I wear it because the last time I saw you, I was letting this grow for a pirate festival in Alcott, and I just did that not too long ago. So I kept the hat, and I kind of like it because it has that look to it. And yes, they did give me the hat and the button that I'm talking about today.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the hat looks very nice. Looks like you just had brain surgery. Let's talk a little bit about cataracts. And, you know, I just had an eye exam, and they told me there's no visible sign of cataracts yet. I'm 69, right? So when do you get cataracts, and how do you know if you have them?
Sure.
And what should you do about them?
Sure. Well, the reason why I came today is cataracts, but more importantly is eye smile that I'll get to in a moment. But you always ask me about how do you know you have cataracts. I like to say, and I'm not a doctor, but I like to say when you stop doing things you like, driving at night, or you stop doing things that you enjoy, or you won't drive, it's raining, you stop going to restaurants or places that you like to go because you're not sure of your vision, you probably have to start a cataracts. Everybody gets them eventually. It happens usually over the age of, well, you can have them as early as 40. I'm 66, I noticed at 64 years old, and I was having problems driving. And it's almost like the headlights of a car that yellow from the ultraviolet over years. The lens inside your eye actually changes in configuration, gets cloudy, and instead of clear, that's a cataract.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, I've worked indoors most of my life.
Sure.
On radio, whatever the case may be. Do cataracts, could this be part of the reason I don't have them yet? Because do they develop because of sunlight?
They could be congenital, they can be traumatic. We've seen kids, actually a great story I told somebody the other day, pop bottles. What is a pop bottle? Western New York, we call it pop bottles instead of soda.
Right.
Flipped a cap off, hit him in the eye, immediately caused trauma. It's almost like if you have clear ice and you hit the ice and it frosts, inside your eye, the cataract can form from trauma, from blunt force or boxer, things like that. So inside people have less likely early development of cataracts. Generally speaking, I'm not a doctor, but it could be one of the reasons. But you can have them early, you can have them late. There are people that are 90 and still don't have cataracts. So you may get them in your lifetime if you live long enough. So you may not have them.
Can you correct them with glasses, or is this something that you have to?
That's the other thing. You take your glasses and you're always like wiping them and trying to get them clean. And you're like, these are just smudgy all the time. I can't see through clear lenses. And you're not. It's not the glasses. It's your lens. And so you just always feel like it's a little cloudy. There's halos around lights, and there's a starburst pattern to the headlights in front of you, and that's annoying.
So let's talk about the procedure. When can you have it done? How long does it take you before you can go back to work? Is it painful?
If it was painful, I wouldn't have had it done. And I've had it done.
Oh, come on, don't be a wuss.
No, and I'm telling you, guys are worse than women. Women are tough, and I say that in the nicest possible way. But no, you do it usually in a hospital or an ambulatory surgery center, which we have one. And you go in and you have a driver. You fill out some paperwork after you've had your eye exam. They say you have cataracts. You do one at a time to make sure that you're healed and everything's good. And you know, it's like a hospital setting. You go in there, you talk to the anesthesiologist, you kind of joke a little bit. They start an IV, they give you some, we call it happy juice, but it's kind of a sedative. You can hear what's going on. They also give you something called Versed, which makes you forget what happened. So, you know, you don't really experience anything, no pain at all, zero pain. Sometimes they'll use a laser in the beginning to actually pre-do the cataract, and then you go into the operating room with the doctor. He's sitting over you and he's looking down with a bright light, and I remember it because to me it was like watching a kaleidoscope of colors done very quickly. Lens is extracted out through a little vacuum system, new implants put in, artificial lens. You go home and by the next day you're up and functioning.
You don't play Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds in the background while this is going on.
It's funny you say that because they were playing an Allman Brothers song and I'm in the thing by myself and all of a sudden there was no music. And I'm looking around, I'm going, is anybody, and I thought I was in the movie The Walking Dead, right? So I'm like, I shouldn't say that. I said, is anybody still here? And finally Dr. Endl came in who did my procedure. And he said, hey, how's it going? I said, good. I said, but what happened to the Allman Brothers? He thought I meant the band.
Right.
I know, the music. He said, well, I got a phone call, and I used my phone for a player, and I had to answer the phone call. That's why the music went off. I said, don't do that ever again. So we don't play Lucy in the Sky, but I heard the Allman Brothers.
All right, well, you know, we've got a couple of minutes left in this segment, but what I want to know is, why do they give you, before we want to talk about the seminar too they do, but why do you give somebody something so that they don't remember it? I don't get that.
Versed is a wonderful cocktail, I'll say, and it's kind of like you want to be not out, but you want to be a little la-la, and you know, there's no horrible part to it, but it just makes the whole experience better. I mean, again, not being a doctor, I'm not quite sure the exact reason, but I know that it works great, and I know that most people get done saying, that was great. I remember nothing at all, because there's nothing to remember, to be honest.
They should do that to people after they have divorce. I think it would be a good idea. What about seminars, Kevin?
If you check our website, you'll see that we do these wonderful seminars once a month. You get to meet the doctor, you get to have some lunch, you get to talk about cataracts, and it's usually new people. You know, so if you go to the website,
nude people?
New people.
New people, yeah.
So if you go to the website
okay.
and you're that person that says, you know, I want to learn more about cataracts, and I want to talk to a guy. I want to talk to, you know, it's like talking to the car mechanic before he works on your car. You know, the doctor will actually answer questions. Now, in the world, there's not a lot of people that do that. Well, we do that.
I think that's great. Kevin O'Brien, we appreciate you joining us today from Fitche, Endl Elmer Eyecare. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Fitche, Endl Elmer Eyecare by calling 716-564-2020 or go to ficta.com. Welcome to Buffalo on the Rise. I'm your host, Joe Chille. With us today from SC Parker, Jeffrey Hahn. Is it Jeff or Jeffrey? Which would you?
Jeff.
Jeff is good?
Yes.
All right, that's
the only
good.
person that calls me Jeffrey is my mother-in-law.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding?
Yeah.
Your mother-in-law calls me Joseph, so we're in the same boat. You know, although I'm sure you're much more responsible for her financial well-being than I am. But as we're moving along talking about finances, you know, this is something, Jeff, I got to be honest with you. You know, and I would imagine a good number of people that are viewing look at this and say, oh yeah, I know all about finances when I've had a couple of drinks and I'm talking to my buddies, or when I'm talking to my barber, right? But when they go in and they want to meet with a financial advisor, they feel really uneducated. I was going to say stupid, but I wanted to make it classy.
Okay, well, I think financial literacy is actually a problem for our country, and it's very much a deficiency in our education system. We're all part of the economy, and why we would teach what the Emperor of China did in 2,500 years ago and not teach how to balance a checkbook is a little beyond me, but they haven't called me and asked for my advice on that issue.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. Two things,
Yeah.
I think. When people get out of high school or college or whatever, they don't teach you about how to manage your money, and nobody teaches you how to take care of a child for all intent and purposes. You know, you leave the hospital. Here's this new bundle of joy. You know, Good luck.
There you go.
Right. So, how did you get your interest in this? What was what was the start for you to say, I want to get into finances?
Oh, that's a great question. So when I was a young guy, 11 years old, I had a paper route.
Okay.
And I saved up my money, and one of my customers was a motorcycle shop, so I was going to buy a mini bike. And like a good son, I went to my father and said, Dad, I saved up my money and I want to buy a mini bike. And he says, well, where are you going to ride it? And I wasn't fully forthcoming, but I said up and down the driveway.
Yeah, right.
He didn't believe me. And he said, why don't we do something else with this money? And he took me down to his broker at Merrill Lynch, and I bought 2 shares of Sears and Roebuck. And I have been following the stock market ever since. Watched it all through my high school and college days, and when it's in and out and all the rest of that stuff.
I used to work with a gentleman who shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Don Gilbert. So anyway, I used to work with Don, and Don would always say, Joe, you're solid like Sears. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, a lot has changed since I was 11, and Sears is no longer with us, but I still have some of my original certificates.
Do you really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a collection of certificates of companies that are no longer in business, and Sears is one of them.
What about, I have to ask this because my grandfather was big into treasury bonds, was it right? They're secure. The faith in the U.S. government, whatever. Are they still a good deal?
Well, a bond is different than a stock,
Okay.
right? With a stock, you're buying ownership of a company, and the value changes every day, every second of every day, actually. With a bond, you're making a loan. So a treasury bond, if you were invested in those, you would be helping to support the federal government. They're borrowing money from you. When we lend money, we just want to get paid back and get some interest. And the federal government, the United States government, has never defaulted on a loan since its beginning, right? And so they're safer, right? They fluctuate in value a little bit, but they're safer. And the purpose with that stuff, Joe, is to preserve your money. The purpose of the stock market is to grow your money. So it's 2 different purposes.
All right, so let's ask this. We have some older viewers that are watching today. Mm-hmm. Now this would make sense to me, but only you would know, should you be more conservative as you get older in your investments?
Yeah, so you take risk with a purpose as well. But a lot of people who have been investors for a long period of time tend to like to hold on to their stock market holdings as they get older, even though the textbooks say as you get older you should move more from stock market to bond market.
All right, now we've got about 2 minutes left in our segment here. So what should somebody do? Say somebody's older now and they have not invested, and they're thinking, oh man, the years are getting away from me. Maybe I should do something. Is it ever too late?
No, it is not. And we will provide you with advice that we think represents really good quality assets that you'll want to own for a long period of time and that you will benefit from owning them. That's a real big thing for us. One of our major purposes, actually.
Sure. And I asked Jeff before we went on today, I said, this is, you can't really plan in this. It changes every day. Do you still enjoy what you're doing? He goes, I love it. I love it.
I do. Yeah, I love working with our clients. Our firm has been in business for almost 100 years. I haven't been there that long. But we're very dedicated to what we're doing. And I figure Warren Buffett's going on 93, so I got a long ways to go.
You look great, but you did gray prematurely.
Very prematurely.
Yeah. And that didn't have anything to do with the stock market.
Well, it enhanced the, it went from gray to white with the stock market.
So do we call that lowlights? No, I'm sorry. We don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think you put things in terms that people can understand, which we certainly do appreciate. And Jeff Hahn, we really appreciate you being here today. Thank you for joining us on Buffalo on the Rise. And for more information and answers to your questions, contact S.C. Parker and Jeff Hahn's team by calling 716-632-6800, or you can go to scparker.com. Welcome to Buffalo on the Rise. I'm your host, Joe Chille. With us, Eric Conrad, who is the owner and operator of Junkluggers of Buffalo. Eric, first off, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Great to be here.
What a great name, Junkluggers. I mean, it
Thanks.
talks about what you do. I mean, give people an indication of what Junkluggers is.
Yeah, so certainly our business is predicated on doing household and commercial removals. So any unwanted furniture, things that are either in your home or your office that you no longer want, not only just furniture, it could be any types of trash or things that have accumulated over the years that you don't have a use for any longer. Our team will go in and do a full service removal of those items. We'll load the truck. We base our pricing on the volume those items will take in the truck. And what we'd like to do is donate and recycle whatever we can to repurpose it prior to maybe making that hard decision to take something to a landfill.
All right, now, just between you and me, we'll make believe nobody's really listening to this.
Okay.
Have you ever gotten a call from a wife while her husband was at work or away, and she wants you to take some stuff away that he's been just saving forever?
That has happened. That has happened for sure, and she's under a strict code of ethics and silence where we're concerned. So it's akin to the lawyer-client relationship. We don't really say much. We're in and out before he ever got home, but yeah, she'd given him every chance to get rid of the stuff in the garage, and he just failed to execute on it. So we were fortunate enough to get the call.
We all know what that's like. I mean, that's a very common
Right.
situation, that we just tend
War
to
of the
collect
Roses.
things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, 2 years in business.
Yeah,
right? And
absolutely.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And you service all of Western New York.
We do, Lakeview to Lewiston, as I like to say. We got our start in the North Towns. Recently just made a pivot towards the South Towns, and really starting to focus our business efforts and marketing down there as well. So we're proud to say we serve everywhere in the greater Buffalo area.
Now, is junk that's being given to you guys or being taken away, is it tax deductible?
It can be tax deductible. So if we take an item, say an old china cabinet, a dresser, something that's of no longer any use to anybody in the family, or frankly an heirloom that no one's interested in, we'll take it to, say, Habitat for Humanity, Goodwill Western New York, AMVETS, or a couple other local charities. If we're able to do that and make that donation on your behalf, we'll get you a tax-deductible receipt within 14 business days.
So people are going to wonder, they're going to say, all right, this all sounds great, but there's got to be a hitch. It's got to be really expensive, or how do you determine price?
Yeah, so our price is derived by the volume your items will take up in the truck. So we have everything right down to, let's say you want a single item that takes up 1/8 of a truck. Well, we got a price point for that. We have a quarter truck price, half truck price, a full truck price. And all those prices are inclusive of us doing the labor. So the guys on the truck will go into your home, they'll locate the items, or you can point out exactly what you want removed. They'll take the items, they'll carefully load the truck based on whether or not we feel they're gonna be donated or recycled, or worst case is it just doesn't have any value and ends up being trash. That's essentially how we load the truck. And then once we take those items back, we'll take them into our warehouse and then stage them for donations. At that point, you've got an opportunity to get a tax-deductible business receipt with us.
It's funny because I think,
Or donation receipt, pardon.
right, my grandparents, for instance, their big thing was this dining room set. This was the one that I always wanted. This is great. I'm going to pass it down to the grandkids. Grandkids don't want it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're starting to see the end of the heirloom era. So a lot of people have that same intention, like, oh, the kids will want this. My niece, my nephew, my granddaughter, my grandson would be interested in something like this. And unfortunately, it's just not the case. The generation today just wants what they want, be it something from IKEA or Wayfair or even Amazon. And they have that vision and they're dead set on picking up exactly what they want. So For us, we get great comfort in helping people in that scenario where, hey, you know, we tried everybody in the family, nobody just wants this item. I've had it forever. I hate to see it go into a landfill. So we'll take it and we'll clean it up, and we'll 9 times out of 10, Habitat for Humanity will take it if it's in good shape, and then it's going to be used by somebody of lesser fortune. So
now, when you talk about Junkluggers, do you ever go into a situation where somebody wants to get rid of something and it might be of value? Do you ever recommend to them, hey, you know, this might have a value, you might want to keep this?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's been some times where you find something that's kind of rare, or it's something that's certainly unique, and so a lot of times they just want it gone because they get that mindset where I have to clear the space and get this house ready for sale or so forth. So we tend to say, well, maybe you want to have a look at something like that, and we can recommend somebody that has some expertise in that, and they can do some on-site appraisals and then even help them from a consignment standpoint to be able to sell that item.
Well, if you ever get a call and somebody wants to get rid of me, remember, we're friends.
You got it.
Eric
right.
Conrad, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Joe.
From Junkluggers. For more information and answers to your questions, contact Junkluggers and owner Eric Conrad by calling 1-800-LUG-JUNK, 1-800-LUG-JUNK, or go to junkluggers.com.
Thanks for watching this edition of the Big Wack Presents Buffalo on the Rise. For information on this and other shows, go to our website, bigwack.com, and find out how you can participate on the program if you're a hometown business. I'm Joe Chille. Thanks for watching and listening to the Big Wack, Buffalo's oldie station.
The Big Wack Presents Buffalo on the Rise was sponsored by Dr. Kaplansky Dental Implants. Get new permanent teeth in 24 hours with our exclusive Teeth Now process.